Big news in the crafting world. Last week, Michaels has announced that they have purchased the intellectual property of former competitor Joann Fabrics. And some crafters are really happy and excited about the possibilities that are ahead. I don't know, I'm a little skeptical about that, but I'll tell you why in just a second, because I have some thoughts. Hey folks, Bill here from Craft Fair Insider, and I've been selling both online and in person since around 2016. This channel is where I'm discussing with you topics that I think are important for any small business owner who's in that same situation, because I know that there are certainly channels out there for selling online, particularly at Etsy, and there's a lot of channels out there for just craft fairs. Not too many that I'm aware of that deal with both of those. Although today's video is really just about, I guess, in person mainly. Well, for anybody who had bought supplies, it doesn't matter where you sell. So what was announced on June 5th, Michael said that they have acquired the intellectual property and private label brands of its competitor, Joann. Now, pretty much all retail stores have private label brands. So if you think about Kohl's department store, they have Apartment 9, they have Sonoma. Macy's has Charter Club, and anything with the seller is their private brand. Michael's, if you are looking at ribbon, Celebrate It is their own private brand. And Joann, no different. Anything Place and Time, which was their ribbon and most of their seasonal items, Place and Time was their private label brand. They obviously have a lot more than that. They have their own private label fabric as well, but those are some of the names that you might recognize. Michaels is not alone in purchasing a failed competitor's intellectual property. For instance, if you guys remember Overstock.com, I'm going to make an assumption, I don't know all the details, but they were, trying to refresh their image for a while. They changed their URL to o.co, and then eventually, when Bed Bath & Beyond went under, they bought the intellectual property. So if you, went to Overstock.com for a while, it would flip you to Bed Bath & Beyond. No stores, purely online, just like Overstock is and was. So not unheard of in the retail space for this to happen. And Michaels specifically has done this in the past. So those of you that know or remember AC Moore, they did purchase, I don't know if it was all the intellectual property, but they bought Doris, which was their private label brand, and they were also a manufacturer. And I know this, and it hurts my heart because there were some items that was the only place I could find sequin pins, for instance, at a particular color and at a particular length at the time. Early on, I was buying retail. I wasn't doing wholesale purchases like I am now. So that really, I guess it not only did it hurt me for a short time, but it was a benefit in a way, because then I found my wholesaler right now and was able to buy larger quantities at lower prices. So in the end, it worked out for me. But Michaels shut down Doris completely. And there were a lot of items that were pretty much only available through them. So just because Joann's IP has been purchased by Michaels doesn't necessarily mean that all of those products are going to be available, unfortunately. Now, there's some big hitters that they've talked about. Big Twist yarn is something that they're saying that they're going to start having available at the end of the year. And they've seen, I think they indicated a 77% increase in searches on their website for fabric, sewing type supplies. So I think that's the direction you're going to be seeing them go in, is trying to, enhance their sewing opportunities, availability, products, things like they said sewing machines, which I don't think they've had in any of the stores before. So let's talk about how this is going to play out, because for me, I have some concerns about the way Michaels might be moving forward. This is, yes, a little bit pessimistic, but the only people that really know the answer are the CEO, the board, senior executives, etc. And so far, they haven't necessarily laid out their plan for us. We're just going to have to wait and see. It's going to take a while for things to start appearing in the stores, probably not till around the holidays, or maybe even into next year. But most of the Michaels, at least by me, and I'm in the Philadelphia area currently, so there are a lot of Michaels that I have access to. I know some areas, they'll have one or two, and then it's like hours away. Within an hour and a half, I don't know, I probably have like 15 Joann's I could go to if I wanted, or Michaels that I could go to if I wanted to. And almost all of them, except one or two, are really small stores. There's one over in Jersey that I know a couple years ago. They actually went from a much bigger location. I actually really like that store, and they flipped over to a much smaller size store. So if they are going to be bringing in all of these fabrics and all of these sewing supplies, then I guess the question is, where are they going to put it? They have two options, right? They can expand the stores to larger footprints, or they're going to have to eliminate some of their products. Now, people online have been suggesting some things that maybe Michaels can get rid of. For example, they started, for whatever reason, carrying a bunch of like toys, which doesn't really fit the craft store aesthetic. A lot of cheap junk has been coming in. I guess, the one advantage to the tariffs is they might get too expensive, and then they're going to possibly get rid of that, or maybe because of fabric, they're going to get rid of some of those toys and that like just junk that's been flooding the stores that are not crafting supplies. It would be wonderful if they could return to actually being a craft store. I think they have an overabundance of home decor items as well. So, CEOs, if you're listening, let's dial back the home decor type stuff. In a lot of cases, you guys are in the same shopping center as, or very close to, giant home decor stores. So you have At Home, you have Home Goods, Home Sense, Kirkland's, Old Time Pottery. There are so many other stores out there that carry home decor items that are not a craft store. Just become a craft store again, because there really now are very few out there. And the people that make items really do rely on going to those stores to get their items, particularly fabric. I know that a lot of the younger people out there who maybe never went to Joann's, didn't have access to Joann's, didn't have small mom and pop fabric stores, maybe they're used to ordering fabric, but I know a lot of people my age would certainly prefer to physically touch the item to see how it felt. Really important to them. So we'll see, they might expand their fabric, but if it's rough polyester garbage, then, you're not helping anybody. Anyway, I digress. So if I had a magic wand, which I currently don't, but if I did, I would love for Michaels to become a craft store again, an art and craft store. Build on the makers, the Michaels Makers Market, place that they have where they've started doing like an Etsy type version on Michaels, where if you are an independent crafter, you could sell your items through the Michaels app and online. I know that they've tried to help people out with doing some bulk pricing on select items. Personally, when I'm looking at the pricing, it's not that great, but nonetheless, they're certainly trying. I could even see, an aisle or a section that has things like, and they don't have to have 20 10 by 10 tents, but they can have one or two 10 by 10 tents. Start really helping the people that are making things and then selling them. So yes, you have your 10 by 10 tents, you have your folding tables, maybe some like director's chairs, uh, some kind of craft fair display items, tablecloths. Tablecloths would be fantastic to have in a Michaels store, because ultimately, in a lot of cases, the only place to get some of these things are Amazon, and sometimes that's great. I have a Benable list of supplies for people that do craft fairs. It's linked in the description of the video here. And most of those things do go out to Amazon because there's just not a universal other place for that. And I see a lot of times, I'm like Facebook stalking some of these groups here, and people are saying, I need help. I have a craft fair this weekend. My Amazon order won't get here in time, and I need tablecloths. What can I do? And and it could be either there's a last minute opening, or maybe you're told that you now have a bigger space available. Do you want it? Because your next door neighbor maybe backed out, whatever, they didn't have time to find somebody, so now you have a whole other table that you have to set up, but you only have one or two tablecloths, and you want it to be as matchy as you can. Any number of reasons. There's nowhere to go in a lot of cases. And people, sometimes will say, go to Walmart. They sell flat sheets individually. You just go get a flat sheet and call it a day, and that will cover the table. But it would be great if there was a place that crafters could go. So I don't know. What are your thoughts about, or hopes or dreams about having Joann's intellectual property available on either Michaels stores or potentially online? Let me know in the comments. Are you excited for it? Do you have the same concerns I do? And I guess we're just going to have to sit, watch, wait, and see how it plays out. Well, thanks for listening to the video. If you enjoyed it, please like it, share it with friends, and good luck out there.